Now let's go ahead and work on the sharing level, and I want to make a minor adjustment to my layout here too. So I'm going to change this to 33% and 34% and 33%, and then I'm going to swap the sharing to the left side and put delete in the middle. And that's just so that if there's not a delete button, the owner and sharing are balanced on the outsides instead. So that's a minor thing. And then for the sharing level, what I'm going to do is, if you don't have rights to edit this, then I'm just going to put the sharing level like that. So this is what goes down here if they don't have rights. And I want to replace the HTML here. So if there was something in there, it gets replaced. And then up here where they do have rights to edit, what I'm going to do is set the HTML for this thing. And so this is going to be a little complicated. So here's the HTML that I want to put in here. So I want to have an input box type radio, and I want to put it in a group called sharing, and then the value of the first button is private, and then I'm going to put a piece of text private, and then I'm going to have another radio button and the same sharing group, and the value of this one is public, and I'm going to put the text public after that. And then I'm going to want to access these two radio buttons so that I can set their checked status and also put click handlers on them. So I'm going to add an ID. So this is radio private, and then this one is radio public. Then to actually set the checked status, that looks like this. So if ImageSet dot sharing key is equal public, then I'm going to go ahead and get my private radio button and set the checked property to false, and I'm going to get my public radio button and set the checked property, typo there, to true. Otherwise, if the sharing key is not public, I'm going to do the opposite. So set private to true and set public to false. So let's go ahead and test that much and make sure the buttons work. So I'm going to reload. Go ahead and close that. So here's a private one, and I'm getting a JavaScript error probably. So console, show image view is not defined. Oh, I guess it was just really slow. So let's try that again. All right, so sharing private public, and it's not checking the right one here. Let's reload here and click. So I'm going to go ahead and put a breakpoint. And actually, I'm going to get rid of that comma. Let me get rid of that comma there. And so in my show image view, here I'm going to put a breakpoint. And then I'm going to close that and open it again. So ImageSet.sharing is private. So radio button.prop checked is true. So it checked that. And then radio button.prop checked. Oh, that should be public and private. All right, so let's go ahead and fix that. So if it's public, then I set private to false and public to true. Otherwise, I set private to true and public to false. So let's go ahead and try it. So that's private, and here's a public one. But I don't have permission to edit it, so I just get the text. So let's find one I do have permission. I'm logged in as Mark. Here's one of Mark's public images, and public is checked. So the next thing I want to do is put check handlers on here. And so I'm going to do that after I set the check status. So radio private dot click function. And for now, I'm just going to console.log clicked private. And radio public dot click function console.log clicked public. So reload, and I'm going to pull up the debugger and go to the console and click public, click private, click private, click public. So every time the user clicks one of these things, I'm going to issue an AJAX request to change the sharing status for the image. So the code for doing that is going to look similar to these other get methods. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy one of them. And then instead of logging clicked private, I'm going to get update sharing.php, and then I'm going to do sharing key is equal to private and ImageSet ID key is ImageSet dot ImageSet ID key. So that's the same. And then same thing here, except I'm going to set public. So that's the front end. And then I need to create an update sharing.php. So under actions, new PHP file, update sharing. And I'm going to start with update name. So all of this is the same. I get the ID the same. This is going to be sharing is get value sharing key. And then I'm going to call update ImageSet sharing, passing in ID sharing, and user. Then in ImageSet, I'll go ahead and copy update ImageSet name. And I'll call this update ImageSet sharing. Pass in sharing, call db update ImageSet sharing. And then in share database, so here's update ImageSet name. So update ImageSet sharing. Sharing, update ImageSet sharing will be a stored procedure. And then pass in sharing. This is still a string, so ISS is the correct parameter types. And then the last thing I need to do is create the stored procedure. So I'm going to go back here to my routines tab in the share database. And let me start by copying update ImageSet name. And I'm going to create a new routine. Update ImageSet sharing. And this is going to take param ID and param sharing and param user. And param ID is int, param sharing is, I think, varchar 16. Let me double check that. Sharing is varchar 16. And then param user, varchar 64. So update image sets, join users on param users username, set sharing equal to param sharing, where owner is owner, username is owner, and or role is admin, and image set ID is param ID. So that should be good. And I'll add a comment, update the sharing for the image set. So that should be everything. Let's go ahead and go back here and reload. And I'm going to close this box. So this first one is private. I'm going to make it public and close, and then I'm going to reload, and it's public. And then this one here, this is public, so I'm going to close that. I don't have access to that one. So let's find one that is public that I have access to. So this one's public, and I'm going to make this one private. And now it's private. So let's try that again. Make it public. Good.